So, and that was what time now the day? After 12 p.m. Yeah.
And then we run up there,
Yeah.
there's a shelter, no door, no window.
The shelter they pop up there.
No, when I get to nobody.
No.
Fatima get watch and go see. I just heard your man who find her. Man in a car, dead. Man, house dropped down on them dead. And God bless you, we not find him.
Yeah, so it's way worse than the one thing people.
Gone.
Yeah.
You know, what has happened in Jamaica is devastating, you know. And I often get asked, being from Florida, people ask me, oh, did you ever experience hurricanes and tornadoes? And I recently was telling someone, like, I grew up there, and I don't remember, like, I know I've experienced tornadoes and hurricanes, but not to the degree to where when I look back, it's like, oh, I went through something like that. I don't remember it being like that. I remember seeing trees on the ground, a lot of rain, flooding and stuff like that, but not this level of devastation. And it's just sad to see. And not only that, I know people personally who are from Jamaica and people who are actually affected by this, their families, should I say, who are affected by this. And I think it was maybe 2 years ago, probably either a year or two ago, that when I went to Jamaica, I made some connections there, met some cool people, and the storm had happened and was able to send something over to the person I had met in Jamaica during that time, not knowing like this would come again. Like, well, the storms come, but to think about what's going on now, it's like, man, I wonder how they're doing. So it's just devastating. And then, just being a practicing Christian, sometimes I'd be like, man, how how does all of this work in terms of living out my faith when things like this happen? Why does God let things like this happen? How do I respond? How do we respond as followers of Christ? And interesting enough, I still don't have an answer as to why these things happen, other than it was never God's plan for these things to happen. But because sin sin has entered the world, bad things happen. And yes, we have a promise of what's to come in heaven, but it's still, we still feel the pain of what happens to us or what's going on with others, like, the situation in Jamaica. But where I've found the most rest in my mind and my soul about it is I've seen people respond to the devastation, not just with prayer, but with action. Because, when someone says, hey, I'm praying for you, and you're going through, it's like, I appreciate it, but it would be nice to get out of the situation or to get some help. So the thing that's been giving me like rest and just reminding me of what it means to know that there's hope in God, and no matter what happens, that we can find hope, is seeing, like, a buddy of mine who's Jamaican, but he wasn't born in Jamaica. He's his family's from there. A GoFundMe was started, so there's donations going towards that. A friend of mine who's first generation American, but her family's from there, I saw that a GoFundMe was started for that as well, and donations are heading in that direction. So it's the action that people like you and I are taking, and the others who I mentioned are taking to help as much as possible. And we have to be mindful. There's a lot of scamming going on, a lot of fraud going on. And it tends to happen when these devastating storms hit. that people try to take advantage of people's heart and wanting to do and help others, which is another just disgusting thing, but that people want to take advantage of people who actually need assistance. But that's a whole nother conversation. But that gives me hope. And I don't know how maybe you're dealing with the devastation that has happened, but I would encourage you to look at it not just from the lens of why did this happen, because we don't always know why, other than if we give a biblical or a theological answer. It's, sin has entered the world, and because of sin, there's a lot of brokenness that happens. There's a lot of things like death, pain, crime. I mean, you name it, just a lot of storms, devastations from storms. Even this particular situation, family left. It's just a lot going on. But in times like this, I've learned to pull back the theological response and lean more into what action would Christ call us to do? How can we be an extension of his compassion, of God's thoughtfulness and care for our fellow humanity who are in these tough situations? So look in your heart, see what you can do, and find someone that you can connect with, or a website. There are plenty of websites out there. Like I said, be careful of the fraud and the scams, but there's plenty of legit websites and GoFundMes that are literally helping people who've lost everything. It's just important to consider consider others and what they're going through, because even though we're all going through things, we have to make sure we help one another. That's what God has called us to do. And just keep continuing to pray for them. But as I always say, in situations like this, even this, no matter what, there's hope. And I don't just say it. I mean, it's a mentality. And I can speak that truthfully and sincerely just based off the actions that I'm seeing others take. The way my heart was flooded to and moved to help. So we just have to, live that out. Live out that no matter what, there's hope, and help others during their time of need. All right? I'll catch y'all in the next video.